this town, in this county, in this state, in this country, and across the world. We appreciate every act that has been bestowed upon us. Thirdly, I would like to thank Steve Rhodes of Jasper Construction, who showed up on my doorstep a couple Mondays ago with his voice cracking and tears in his eyes saying, "Laura, we have to do something now to get a reward fund established." And Steve knows it didn't happen now. There was a lot of work. There were a lot of swear words, especially on my part. But as of, I believe, 9 o'clock yesterday morning, the reward fund, the Bring Mollie Tibbetts Home Safe Reward Fund, was established and was being funded. So with that being said, the family and friends of our daughter and our sister, Mollie Tibbetts, would like to announce that we have set up a Bring Mollie Tibbetts Home Safe Reward Fund at First State Bank here in Brooklyn, Iowa. We believe that Mollie is still alive, and if someone has abducted her, we are pleading with you to please release her. We are partnering with Crime Stoppers of Central Iowa to help facilitate the process of receiving information anonymously that we can use to pay for her release or information that would lead to her location. As of 10 o'clock this morning, we have raised $172,000 that would be paid to you as soon as Mollie is safely home. You can contact Crime Stoppers of Central Iowa at 1-800-452-1111. or email your tip online at www.crimestoppersofcentraliowa.com. And once again, that is anonymous. If anybody has seen anything that you feel is related to Mollie's disappearance, please also contact Crime Stoppers, and that information will be forwarded to law enforcement with your identity being protected. If you would like to also donate to the Bring Mollie Tibbetts Home Safe Reward Fund, you can go to Crime Stoppers of Central Iowa website for further information to make that donation. We are very thankful for all the efforts of law enforcement and our friends in searching for Mollie. It is our greatest hope that if someone has her, that they would just release her and claim that money that we have raised for her freedom. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm turning it over to Greg Wiley with Crime Stoppers of Central Iowa. Greg?
Thanks.
Yep.
What I wanted to kind of do in support of the family, until we get further information about Mollie, we are expecting her to be alive. This is kind of a unique thing we've done with Crime Stoppers. We want the individuals that may have her to come forward, and the biggest thing, I guess, is that the reward fund will continue to grow. What we do as Crime Stoppers, we're basically a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We're run by volunteers here locally in Des Moines. All of us have real full-time jobs, but we love doing this because it helps the community. One thing we have to understand is that if we're going to be able to get her back, is that we've got to get this thing beyond our communities. If she was abducted and taken somewhere else, they have to understand that if they contact us, we can protect our identity. It's one thing to say that, you know what, call us and we'll protect your identity, won't tell anybody. It's another thing to say that we don't know who you are, even if we wanted to know who you are. Our system is set up. We have a software system. It's called P3 software. It is purchased through Anderson software company. Basically, when that information comes in, it's encrypted and scrubbed. And so the only thing that is identified to that information is an ID number. That tipster then will have to pay attention to you guys and contact us back if a crime has been solved. We have no way of contacting them back. If we do get the opportunity to have an interaction with whatever the individual is, law enforcement gets this information pretty much immediately. We're not privy to it. We're just the facilitator of it. We're the safety net for law enforcement. We're great partners. most of the public is not afraid to come forward and share information. We do not exist for those people. We exist for the other ones who, for whatever reason, would not come and communicate any information to the police, either because they're guilty of something themselves or may be involved in a crime. So that being said, we can take a few questions, but they're going to have to be pretty much tilted towards the reward fund and then questions about Crime Stoppers.
Well, do you believe that she was abducted?
At this time, that's one of the possibilities.
How can people donate? I know there's a link on the Crime Stoppers website. How does that work?
When you go to Crime Stoppers, we actually have a tab that has Mollie's name on it. You click that on, there'll be a way to wire the money in and also a way to a receipt that you can fill out and mail also that money in. We are a nonprofit 501c3. A lot of times those donations are tax deductible.
Ted Williams, Fox News. Can I have a question for Rob? Rob, can you tell us, this is your daughter, she's been missing since July the 18th. Can you tell us how the family is holding up?
The family's holding up just fine. We're setting our personal feelings aside. This is a fight for our daughter. And so we have all the tools that we can use, and I want to thank the media for coming here and helping us to share this story, because we are told very little by the authorities for very good reason. They are incredible partners. They've put together an incredible investigation. It's large, it's sophisticated, it's aggressive, and they have been nothing but sensitive to our family. And to suggest otherwise is wrong. But they are not sharing information with us because they don't need to share information with someone who might be implicated in this. The other part is you, the media. You've been wonderful. You've taken us, our story, national and international, and to keep this story in the public conscience is essential, because this is going to be solved by someone coming forward with information, either information that they think is trivial and not worth sharing, or information they think is going to implicate a loved one or a friend, and they're afraid of doing that. And I've been telling all of you, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. So come forward, share that information with the authorities, and let's bring Mollie home. And this is another tool in our arsenal. We're providing this fund to provide some financial incentive for someone who's otherwise reluctant to come forward. And if you can get this story out, then maybe we can bring Mollie home, and we'll all have a happy ending to this.
Rob, what do you make, Paulina and HLN, what do you make of the fact that you went from $2,000 to $172,000?
I think it's a testament to all of the media and your ability to get this story out. It's been incredible, the partnership with the media, the national media and the local media, to get Mollie's story out and to humanize Mollie so that people can identify. Mollie isn't all that more different than your daughters or your sisters or your girlfriend. She's just a wonderful, normal, terrific person. And we all can identify with that. So let's bring her home. So anything you can do to keep this story in the public conscience it's essential.
Is there a way to determine how the furthest donation you got? Is it overseas? I mean, how far are these donations coming from?
I don't know the details of all of that. I don't know that the amount is essential. It's just as much as the incentive is another tool that we can use. Across the street from here, the community, Live Now, is creating collateral, T-shirts and buttons and pins and yard signs and magnets that go on cars with that number, with that tip number on. And so we can only fight that way. And so that's what we're doing. And Laura put together this fund. We've been on a separate track trying to work with you to help you get this story out. So we wake up every day at 2, 3 in the morning to fight. And Laura's fighting, the boys are fighting, Dalton's fighting, everybody in this community is fighting to get her back. And you guys are really helpful.
Hey, Rob, good morning. The new sighting, the possible sighting of Mollie just confirmed by police yesterday. What does that, yes, it was a week ago.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so there was a sighting that they just said it's not her. They did say that? Yeah, sorry. Apparently not her. there was a sighting in Missouri that they thought could have been someone that matched your description. So now we're learning it's not her.
But I think you raise a good point. People are reluctant to come forward with information because they think it's irrelevant or it's trivial. Nothing is irrelevant. Nothing is trivial. And the authorities have told us as much. They have the resources to sort out what's right and what's wrong. So if you have something that's either trivial or something that's either could potentially implicate someone you know or love, come forward with the information. The authorities can sort that out and they can do it quickly.
Greg, have you ever had a reward this large in Crime Stoppers?
Well, the last one that we participated in was the actually Oakland murder back in 2011. Fortunately, in the communities that we live in, we don't get this opportunity, and we would rather not have to have it. The key thing in all this, like they were saying, is that the money can be an incentive for somebody to step up, especially if they have abducted her and possibly doing some other things monetarily. But the key part is that we can guarantee their identity. And what I explained before, we couldn't tell you who they were even if we wanted to tell you who they were. And that's crucial from what Rob said, as far as the individuals out there who don't want to be involved, feel like, boy, if I say something now, they're going to come after me and want to talk to me, or in cases in the past when we've had mothers turn in sons, family members turn in other family members because they're out of control. They wouldn't have done that unless they were absolutely sure that their identity would be protected. And that's a crucial part, is what Crime Stopper does. We're the safety net. Law enforcement does a great job. Most of the community public is not afraid to get involved. We exist for that small majority of the public that would never participate unless they were guaranteed their anonymity.
How often have you seen a case turn into a successful recovery because of the fact that there was money involved?
Well, locally, we haven't had a lot. I know I served on the board nationally several years ago, and there are stories all over the place where the amount of money did get somebody's attention, and they did come forward because they were confident they could come forward and be protected, and no one would know who they are. There's going to be a lot of dynamics. What we're trying to do is shake the tree. We want somebody to come forward, even if it's not real, at least to start a conversation with somebody. Somebody might know that she's being held by somebody, but would never say anything, because if they said something, they may think that reciprocity or their life might be in danger. We can guarantee that whoever gives this information up, their identity will be protected.
How do they get the money if it's anonymous?
They'll get, when they put in the tip, they get a random number that matches that tip. So if you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they'd have to contact us back and say, hey, I saw in the media. Well, in this case, if they got them, if they've got Mollie, they're going to call in and say, hey, I see there's a reward. I want to let her go. And then that negotiation will be done with the law enforcement, and a whole new dynamic will come into play. And we hope that dynamic comes into play. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Laura, I heard you're really the main force behind this reward fund. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that process has been over the past several days, putting this all together, organizing all of this?
I wasn't the main force. It was a collaborative effort between Steve Rhodes and I. And I had been getting emails, I believe through the bank, that there was money sitting out there. Rob still lives in California. Rob and I lived in California. We have a ton of friends there. And people were getting angry as of 3 days ago. Steve and I have been working on this, but about 3 days ago, we have money, we have substantial money, and we want to help. So the reward fund was easy enough to get set up, but as through all processes, especially when money's involved, we had to work with lawyers and just be sure everything was where it should be. But it was just flying by the seat of your pants, because I've never set up a reward fund for my daughter before. And if it wasn't for Steve, he and I working together, I couldn't have done it. So with that being said, they'll take your next question.
We're 2 weeks on. Just tell us how you're getting by day to day and what you're doing morning, noon, and night, just to look for her and get through this emotionally?
Every day I feel Mollie's presence with me. Sometimes I just feel her sitting on my shoulder. And Mollie was an incredibly strong young woman. And I don't know that I have the strength in me, but Mollie's lending me her strength every day, every night. And yes, I have my moments of complete meltdowns, but it is through this strength that is somehow, and I don't know how, being bestowed upon me, that I am able to get through every morning, every noon, every night.
Greg, if nobody claims the reward, what happens to the fund?
Well, what we put together was those funds, the donors would have a choice through the process to make a decision if they wanted the funds back. If not, the funds would then roll into the Mollie Tibbetts family and with Crime Stoppers. And at that point in time, a decision would be made whether it be a memorial if that we got to that place or an ongoing deal. There's a 2-year limit on it right now. They actually, Oakland, one we put together for that family and friends, got to $150,000. We still have that sitting in a side account because that's how that was set up, was to roll into our general account. This will roll back into the family and with Crime Stoppers, and at that point they'll make a decision what to do with it.
My question is for Dalton Jack. Dalton, this was your girlfriend and this is your girlfriend, Mollie. What would you like to say to the individuals who perhaps have abducted Mollie?
If they're listening, then I would just like them to know that, imagine this was you. Everybody has a Mollie in their life, a person that has affected them in a way that she affected everybody standing up here right now. And imagine if this was you, somebody had taken your Mollie. Wouldn't you want to help? Wouldn't you want her back? How would you feel? Just do the right thing and, let her go, pretty much.
Mr. Tibbetts, can you say whether or not you think Mollie was abducted at this point?
I don't want to speculate on anything that might have happened, but I do think she's out there, and I think we can bring her home. And it's our responsibility as a community to do that, to do everything we can do. And everyone in the media is doing what they can do. It's really fantastic, feels great to our family. Everyone in the community is doing it. And I think everybody in the country has adopted Mollie. So let's keep at it. Let's go get her.
One thing to add is that when we started in advertise some of the Crime Stopper information. That information, we had since Monday, about another 200 tips come in. Those tips went into a fusion center and are disseminated pretty much immediately to the local authorities. Anytime we get a tip, whether it be from California, Florida, Missouri, when that tip comes in, it is routed to that law enforcement agency in that area. And that's done pretty much immediately. I do have the statement that Laura had said, if you wanted a hard copy of it too after the news conference, they'll be up here for you.
Greg, one last question. Has DPS and the Sheriff's Department and the FBI signed off on this move here?
Well, it's kind of a parallel effort. I mean, this is a fundraising effort. If we, through raising funds, can get other individuals to contact us, which means they're contacting the FBI, they're contacting the Sheriff's Department. As far as getting with them and have a strategy, the family and Crime Stoppers, we basically stepped up and did it on our own. We all have different parts we play. Law enforcement does a great job investigating, but they're not in the fundraising business. That's why it took a while to try to get this momentum going. I don't anticipate over all the years I've been involved with Crime Stoppers and all the other organizations that have facilitated with law enforcement, there really isn't any damage that could be done other than we're going to get a lot more tips, and there'll be a little, not all the tips are great tips. Out of those 200, if you get a half of them that really truly have substance, that's probably not too bad. You get some goofy people out there saying goofy things, but we'd rather have the goofiness, and we'll figure that out after the fact. And if anybody, like I said, if you're afraid to come forward, we guarantee that the information you give us will go to law enforcement. They won't know who you are. And if there's a reward involved, you'll have your tip number. You just contact us back, and we'll get you what you need. If there's no more questions, I guess at this point in time, you can pick up the hard copy of what Laura read. If there's any additional things that you need, I can leave a business card up here, and you can contact me by email.
And we've just been listening to the family of Mollie Tibbetts. She is the 20-year-old Iowa woman who has been missing for 2 weeks. The family said they do believe that she is alive, and they used this news conference today to announce a reward fund that has been set up in conjunction with Crime Stoppers. The fund is now at $172,000 that will be paid out to anyone who gives an anonymous tip that leads to Mollie coming home safely. Her mother, Laura Calderwood, says it is the Bring Mollie Tibbetts Home Safe Reward Fund. Mollie's father, in response to a question from a reporter about how the family is doing, said the family is holding up just fine. This is a fight to get our daughter back, and this is going to be solved by someone coming forward. So this reward fund is a way to encourage anyone who may have any information at all to come forward, report it anonymously through Crime Stoppers. They and investigators are hoping that one of these tips can lead to Mollie's location. Again, that is the Bring Mollie Tibbetts Home Safe Reward Fund. It is now at $172,000, and anyone can call Crime Stoppers anonymously with information if they believe they have any information on Mollie Tibbetts' whereabouts. We're going to take a quick break now, but we have a lot more news ahead. You're streaming CBSN, CBS